Hello and welcome everyone. In this video, we are going to cover the chapter 9 consistency and consensus from designing the data intensive applications. And specifically in this video, we are going to cover only the linearizability topic. So let's begin. In the previous chapters, we have seen that a lot of things can go wrong in a distributed system. And to handle such faults, one of the simple way is to let the entire system fail and show the user an error message. But if that solution is not acceptable, then we need to find ways to tolerate the faults. That is, we have to keep the service running even if some of the components fail or is faulty. So in this chapter, we will talk about some examples of algorithms and protocols for building the fault-tolerant distributed systems. The best way of building fault-tolerant systems is to find some general-purpose abstractions with useful guarantees and implement them once and let the applications rely on those guarantees. So one of the most important abstractions for distributed system is consensus. That is getting all of the nodes to agree on something. So let's take an example. If you have a database with single leader replication and if the leader dies and we need to fail over to another node, the remaining database nodes can use consensus mechanism to elect a new leader. So it's important that there is only one leader and that all nodes agree who the leader is. If two nodes believe that there are more than one leader, then the situation is called split brain and it often leads to data loss. So in this chapter, we will explore the range of various guarantees and abstractions that can be provided in a distributed systems. And in some situations, it is possible for the system to tolerate faults and continue working, but in other situations, it might not be possible. So let's see some of the guarantees and abstractions in this chapter. So let's start with the consistency guarantee. In the chapter replication, we have seen the problem with replication lags. So if you haven't checked out my video on the replications, please do check out. The link is in the description section below. So coming back, so we have seen that there are problems with replication lags. That is, two replicas may return different data at the same time because write requests on those replicas can arrive at different times. So there can be inconsistencies in any replication method, be it single leader or multi-leader or leaderless. But there will be eventual consistency across them. That is, after some amount of time, all the read requests will return the same data. That is, they will converge to the same value. But this is a very weak guarantee because we cannot say anything about when the replicas will converge. Until the time they converge, all the reads can return anything or even nothing. So whenever we work with the database that provides only weak guarantees, we need to be constantly aware of its limitation and not assume too much. So the edge cases of eventual consistency only become apparent when there is a fault in the system or there is highly concurrent request. So in this chapter, we will explore various stronger consistency models that data systems may choose to provide. And stronger guarantees may lead to worse performance of the system or may be less fault tolerant than the systems with weaker guarantees. So in this chapter, we are going to cover strong consistency models like linearizability, then the issue of ordering events in distributed systems around causality and total ordering, and then the distributed transaction and consensus. So let's begin with linearizability. In an eventual consistent database, if we query the two different replicas at the same time, they might return different results because there might be replication lag. But what if our database behaves as if there is only one replica? If somehow we can make the system appear as if there is only one copy of the data and all the operations are atomic. So that is the idea behind linearizability. Linearizability, also known as atomic consistency, immediate consistency, external consistency, or strong consistency. So as soon as the client successfully writes to the server, all the clients reading from the database must be able to see the value just written, that is maintaining the illusion that there is only a single copy of the data. And the value which will be read by the client will be most recent, that is up to date value, and it doesn't come from any cache or replica. So in other words, linearizability is a recency guarantee. So let's take an example. This is an example of non-linearizable system. So let's assume that there are two teams playing a football match, Germany and Argentina. At time t1, referee declares that Germany is the winner. So as soon as the referee declares the winner, the right goes to the leader. And when the leader completes the write, it sends the following write request to the two followers, that is this one and this particular one. But there is a replication lag and there is network between the leader and follower, so the write request to the follower may arrive at different time. You can see that the write request to follower 1 arrives at earlier time than the write request to the follower 2. So there are two users, Alice and Bob, who are checking the scores constantly. So when Alice checks the score, the read request goes to the follower 1, but till that time follower 1 has already inserted the write request from the leader. That means Alice will get the latest result that Germany has won the World Cup. But when Bob requests the same query and it goes to the follower 2, but follower 2 haven't received yet the write request from the leader, and it receives that the result that the match is being still played and no one is the winner. So in this case, two users, Alice and Bob, are getting different results. So this is a non-linearizable system because the two users are not getting the same results. That is, Alice is getting the recent result but Bob is getting the stale result. So now let's see an example of linearizable system. So let's take an example of three users who are concurrently trying to update or read a variable x. So on the x-axis, it is the time, and this bar indicates, the start of the bar indicates that the operation has started, and the end of the bar indicates that the operation has ended. So let's assume that at time t1, client A wants to read the value of x, and initially the value of x is 0. Hence, client A will get the value as 0. Now, client B reads again the value of x at time t2, but at time t3, client C writes the value of x as 1. Since these are almost concurrent operations, because read has also not ended and write has also not ended, it means B can get any value 0 or 1 depending upon whether the write has got completed or not. Similarly, read operation by client A and read operation by client B can also get any values 0 or 1 because write operation is still concurrent operation and it is still in operation when read operations are there. But write operation ends at this particular time, and when the client A makes a request of reading the variable x after the write operation has ended, then this read value must return 1 because this read operation is after the write operation has successfully executed. This is what can happen in case of concurrent writes or reads. But in case of concurrent writes or reads with a linearizable system, we need to add one more constraint. The constraint is that if one client reads the return value as the latest value, then all the subsequent reads must also return the new value even if the write operation has not yet completed. So if you see this example, this client C write operation is concurrent with these two read operations and client A read operations, and hence we saw in this particular example that all these reads can return any value 0, 1, right? But in this example, if this is a linearizable system, let's assume that client B returns the 0 value, but while this write was being executed, client A read the value as 1. It means at this some point of time, the value of x flipped from 0 to 1, and when this B reads the value x, this read is happening after the read of the A, and when the A has already read the recent value, then B also must read recent value, that is 1. If B reads the value as 0, then the system would be non-linearizable. Hence, if any client reads the recent value, then all the subsequent reads after that particular read must also get the latest value. Since this is the first read which gets the latest value, hence all the reads after the client A, that is this particular read by client B and this read by client A, will also return the latest value. So that is what a linearizable system looks like. So when do we actually require linearizability? The example of the sporting match we have seen is a very trivial example. In that case, even if we return the result in some later point of time, that would not be any harm. But there are systems in which linearizability is a very important requirement to make the system working. So let's take the first example, locking in leader election. So a system that uses single leader replication needs to ensure that there is only one leader and not several. It should avoid split brain. So one way of electing a leader is to use a lock. That is, every node that startup tries to acquire the lock, and one that succeeds become the leader. So no matter how the lock is implemented, it must be linearizable. That is, all nodes must agree that which node owns the lock, otherwise the problem would be useless. So some coordination services like Apache Zookeeper are often used to implement distributed locks and leader elections. They use consensus algorithm to implement the linearizable operations in a fault-tolerant way. Another example is constraints and uniqueness guarantees. So uniqueness constraints are very common in databases. For example, a username or an email address must uniquely identify one user, or in a file storage service, there cannot be two files with the same name, same path, right? So if you want to enforce these constraints as the data is written, that is, if two concurrent users are trying to create the same file with the same name at the same location, then one of them must return with an error. So for these constraints, we need linearizability. Similar issues can arise if we have a bank account and we want to ensure that a bank account balance can never go negative, or we don't sell more items than we have in a stock. So all these constraints require that there is a single up-to-date value, and all these require linearizability. The third example is cross-channel timing dependencies. So in this example, Alice and Bob gets the different result. So if Alice hadn't exclaimed the score to Bob, then Bob wouldn't have known that the result of this query was stale. So he would have just refreshed the page, and after a few seconds later, and eventually would return the final score. The linearizability violation was only not noticed because there was an additional communication channel in the system. So there was also a race condition between the two communication channels, that is the database replication methods and the audio channel between Alice and Bob. Thus, linearizability is not the only way of avoiding these race conditions, but it is the simplest way to do. Now let's see how we can implement linearizable systems. As we have seen that linearizability means that the system behaves as if there is only a single copy of the database and all the operations are atomic. And the simplest answer to that would be just to use a single copy of the database. However, that approach may not be fault tolerant as well as scalable. But in case of single leader replication, the database can be potentially linearizable if all the writes to the followers are made synchronously. But single leader database might not be actually linearizable because they might be following snapshot isolation or maybe due to some other concurrency bugs. In case of multi-leader replications, they are generally not linearizable because they concurrently process the writes on multiple nodes and asynchronously replicate them to the other nodes, and they can produce conflicting writes that require resolution. So for the systems with leaderless replication, we can claim that we can obtain strong consistency by requiring the quorum reads and writes. That is, number of writes plus number of reads is greater than the number of nodes. So in the conflict resolution methods like last write wins, which are based on time of day clocks, they can be non-linearizable because clock timestamps cannot be guaranteed to be consistent with the actual ordering due to the clock skew. So even with strict quorums, non-linearizable behavior is possible. So now let's see the pros and cons of linearizability. Take an example of the system where there are network interruptions between the two data centers. So let's assume that the network within each data center is working fine and the clients can reach the data centers, but the data centers cannot reach to each other. So with a multi-leader database, each data center can continue operating normally since writes from one data center are asynchronously replicated to the other. The writes are simply queued up and exchanged when the network connectivity is restored. But in case of single leader replication, any writes and any linearizable reads must be sent to the leader. Thus, for any clients who are connected to the follower data center, those read and write requests must be sent synchronously over the networks to the leader data center. And if the network between the data center is interrupted in a single leader setup, then the clients who are connected to the follower data centers cannot contact the leader. So they cannot make any writes to the database nor any linearizable reads. But they can still make the reads from the follower, but they would be non-linearizable. So if the application requires linearizable reads and writes, then the network interruption can cause the application to become unavailable in the data centers that cannot contact the leader. But if the clients can connect directly to the leader data center, then that's not a problem because the application can continue to still work normally. So now this brings us to the CAP theorem. So if our application requires linearizability and some replicas are disconnected from the other replicas due to a network problem, then the some replicas cannot process the request while they are disconnected. So they must either wait until the network problem is fixed or return an error, that is, they become unavailable. But if our application does not require linearizability, then the replica can behave independently and they can process the request independently even if it is disconnected from the other replicas. So in this case, the application can remain available in the face of a network problem. Thus, applications that don't require linearizability can be more tolerant of network problems, and this is what is popularly known as CAP theorem. CAP is also sometimes mispresented as consistency, availability, partition tolerance, and we have to pick two out of them. But if we see that network partitions are kind of a fault and we don't have really a choice because network partitions can occur at any time. Thus, so at times when the network is working correctly, a system can provide both consistency, also known as linearizability, as well as total availability. But when a network fault occurs, we have to choose between either the linearizability or the total availability. Thus, CAP is either consistent or available when partitioned. So now we are at the end of this video. So let's summarize what all we have covered in this video. We have seen what are the consistency guarantees in a distributed system. We have tried to understand one of the strongest consistency model, that is linearizability. We have seen what are the pros and cons of linearizability and how we can implement it. And also we have seen what is the famous CAP theorem. So I hope you have enjoyed learning in this video. You have learned various concepts in a distributed system. And in the next part of this chapter, we will be covering the ordering guarantees in a distributed system, which will cover causality and total ordering. Thank you.